And then maybe I'd have to be reclusive for the next few days. I'd have to pull myself together. I couldn't have people call me sometimes because I couldn't answer the phone. I would have to call them on my time when I am okay. I was incapable of making plans that I could hold to. And what people don't get is I just got out of this. Microdosing for me changed my life so drastically in such a short period of time. It almost doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
And so to give everybody a little bit of a background for myself, I have dealt with serious amounts of trauma in my life, and it's not limited to one thing, some of which I'm not necessarily going to get into on this podcast right now, but I had an ex-girlfriend of mine get crushed in a car, like basically in front of me. I can't get her out of that car. Her face, had a burn on it. Her hips are broken out of socket. Like, it was just an immensely terrible experience. And that, coupled with a whole bunch of other things of which have taken place, whether near-death experiences or, issues at home or just drama in general or people dying. I mean, my cousin hung himself in a garage. My other cousin, drugs. This one, drugs. That one, drug. Like, I've experienced a lot of loss in life. I have had some form of, we'll call them spiritual abilities, if you will. I've had out-of-body experiences. I have seen, I guess you'd call them spirits or shadow people or all of these different things that, like, you have nobody to talk to about them. And so you sit there and you feel nuts, but you're not. You're very cognitively aware at different things of which you experience. I mean, the first girl I ever kissed, first girl who was my first for a bunch of things, she's sitting on the back of a car. Guy in the car drives off, and literally she falls off, nails her head on the ground. Her head opened, like her parts of her brain, like went on the ground. Like, dude, like there's just been so many experiences I've had that have gotten me to the point of having these severe PTSD moments. And my girlfriend specifically, nobody understands what you're going through unless they are intimately involved with you. From the outside, and I've said this before, I know what my life looks like. My life looks like I'm a wild motorcycle guy who's successful, who has this cool car, who like does all these kinds of things, runs businesses, makes a lot of money, on and so forth. And behind closed doors, there's like a hell on earth that I had experienced for 15, 20 years. And, the only people who really saw it were those closest or women that I was dating. And it would be, I would get to a point where something minor could set off, and it would be like this absolute drastic lowering of the amount of stimulus required to elicit a response. And the response would just be this absolute sheer panic, just tingles up and down my arm. I couldn't go to public places. I would function just enough to make money and put on a face to go out in public. And behind closed doors, I'd be holding the wall, trying to hold myself up, trying to breathe, taking bathroom breaks and standing over the toilet, like peeing and hyperventilating, like, and I lived like this for many years, and I tried all different types of stuff to heal. And the thing is, people who sit here and they listen to stories, I will never understand what it is like to look across the way like you did and see your leg lying on the side of the highway. I am never going to experience that. I hope. All right? Exactly. Still young. Yeah. But it's not really a life goal. Yeah. But I will never experience that. You did. You can tell me all about it, but I will not know actually what that was like. Because number one, I am not you, and I'm not intimately involved in you. We don't hang out every single day. When I talk about this, it was so much worse than I can actually describe. I would wake up at night with night terrors where I am screaming. And to be honest, still happens from time to time. I'm not 100% healed. I'm not completely out of the woods. I'm just at a point where, like, you'll never know about it anymore. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. But I've woken up and my heart is moving in a way that doesn't actually make physical sense, because the slamming of the heart coming through the shirt, I turn on, and one of my ex-girlfriend's witnesses, she's like, we have to go to a hospital? I'm like, no, this just happens. She's like, this doesn't just happen. And you could run as hard as you want. Your heart won't do that. I've collapsed on stairs before. Like, wrestles with suicide. Dude, I have videos that one day I wanted to share with people that I shot of myself when I would have nights where it logically made sense to just take my life. Like, that is what I lived in while fighting endlessly to try to become successful. And nothing worked. I could only find things. And God, I can't imagine what people experience from war.
Right.
But I could only find things that would mitigate the problem only. It would allow me to function enough to kind of make money and then go back to bed. Like, I would sometimes be in bed till like 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 o'clock at night, but I was a high income earner. And everybody wanted to be like Josh Kekak. And I'm like, no, you don't. No, you do not. Like, and I would go out and I'd meet with a client. I'd pull myself together on like tons of caffeine or tons of stuff just so I could function for this short area in the day, maybe. And then maybe I'd have to be reclusive for the next few days. I'd have to pull myself together. I couldn't have people call me sometimes because I couldn't answer the phone. I would have to call them on my time when I am okay. I was incapable of making plans that I could hold to. And what people don't get is I just got out of this, like, give or take about 2 years ago. I started making heavy progress with EMDR, which is a type of therapy, eye movement desensitization reprocessing. I had been to 16 plus therapists in my life. I had been on all SSRIs like Lamictal, Depakote, lithium, Seroquel, venlafaxine, Remeron, Abilify. I don't know, man. Like, I had been on a lot of them. I had tried eating differently. I had tried ice baths. I had tried breathing, pranayama, meditation, hot. It's kind of like think of it like an Indian sweat lodge, kind of like a hot heat thing. I had tried changing diet severely, acupuncture, guided meditation. Like, nothing actually worked to fix the problem. It only got me to a functional standpoint. And I would like hide away from things that would stress me out. And then you introduced me to microdosing.
Yeah, then an illegal Schedule 1 plant that's grown.
Right.
Is what?
An illegal Schedule 1 plant that is growing.
That you can't
I'm going to say
on.
Like,
that's
someone's backyard.
The safest drug in the world to take. Yeah, that thing. That's Scheduled 1. Doesn't that make sense?
Right. So you introduced me to the concept of giving this thing a shot that I had been against my entire life, that had been villainized and demonized by our society, and everything of which is totally against this taking place. And this leads back to the original reason for this podcast, because I had written something one night to an ex-girlfriend of mine about the mental hell that I was in, and just constantly feeling like I'm being harassed by demons in the night and like all this kinds of stuff, and I can't think right, and I can't function, and my heart is jumping on me. This is the 5th time I've woken up tonight. And I was like, if I ever find a remedy for this, and I will, I was like, I will share this with the world, and I will try to help as many people as I can to rid themselves of this. Because if there are people living like I am living right now, these are people who are absentee in their lives for the things of which they want to accomplish. These people are absentee probably from their children's lives. These people cannot hold a job of any esteem. They cannot function. And for me, being a high-income earner, at least for me, I had money to throw at my problems. You take my problems and you put them on somebody who doesn't have the financial means necessary to get the help that they need via therapists and, quality food, because we already know that the food affects brain chemicals.
Totally.
I promised that I would 100% try to get this out, and that is why you are the first person on this podcast. You introduced me to microdosing. The first night, and look, maybe I'm a bad example of this because some people don't get responses this fast. The first night of me taking a microdose, which was I believe a 0.2 and then it was mixed with like lion's mane. Just it was like a capsule type thing. The first night that I took it, I went to sleep. I didn't sleep any longer than I typically do, and for the record, I would typically spend 11 hours plus in bed, because I would be so in and out of sleeping all night long. I would have constant night terrors, waking up, so all this shit. I actually started microdosing this year. The first night, I woke up the next day, and I opened my eyes, and I was like, holy crap, I must have slept really long. I like looked around, and it was like, I forgot what time it was. I think it was like 9:45, but that was early for me. I think it was really early in the morning, and I was like, I actually feel like really rested right now. I was like, I wonder if that's just in my head. And then I didn't take it that night, because my understanding is psilocybin has like a half-life. I didn't take it that night. Didn't take it the next day. I took it again the day after. And the same thing happened. But it didn't drop off 100% in between either. I still gained the ability to sleep better. But the night when I took it again, the same thing happened where I woke up and I was like, what is happening? I feel, is this what people feel when they go to sleep? Is this what normal people feel? Fuck, I was normal. I was like, is this what people feel? And, you know, I started to experiment with like taking a little bit of a different amount of the microdose. I would go up to a 0.4, a 0.6, point this, point that, just trying to see like what is the threshold where I even start to experience like some form of a psychedelic effect. And, you know, there's so many details I could share here, but the main thing that I want to share is that for me, with my body weight or the way my body works and such, it appears that I can go up to somewhere around like a 0.5, 0.6 without really starting to experience anything. Anything beyond that, I just don't think I'm necessarily going to be dabbling with, you know, right now.
Yeah.
Because I did try, like I said, a gram, and I did a gram of actual mushrooms, and the effects were far different than what I was experiencing on the microdosing, very much so, which you are aware of that story. But the thing is, and what I really want to drive across for anybody struggling with something, I understand that this is illegal, and I get that, and I'm not condoning illegal behavior, I'm not condoning all this kind of stuff, but I gotta say, I think you should start researching this.